What if everything Europe was told about America collapsed the moment people arrived? During the 2026 World Cup, many visitors expected noise, division, and indifference. Instead, they found strangers who noticed them, welcomed them, and treated them with a warmth they had not prepared for. How powerful must a country feel when a simple act of respect makes someone question whether they still want to go home? Human, not hassle. The biggest surprise of the 2026 World Cup may not have happened on the field at all. It may have happened at a hotel desk, a restaurant counter, or beside a subway map when European visitors prepared themselves for impatience and received something they had not expected. Time, eye contact, and the feeling that their problem actually mattered. That sounds almost too ordinary to become a reason for loving an entire country, yet ordinary moments are often where a country reveals its character. Long before arriving, many Europeans had absorbed a steady stream of stories portraying the United States as cold, chaotic, divided, and driven almost entirely by money. Then they landed in American host cities and discovered employees who did more than process transactions. They explained, recommended, joked, checked again, and sometimes treated a confused visitor as though helping them was part of the day rather than an obstacle standing in the way of it. The contrast can be surprisingly emotional. In Paris, efficient service often depends on understanding local etiquette and beginning an interaction properly. In Berlin, directness is commonly valued over cheerful small talk. In Amsterdam, service may be friendly but refreshingly concise, with little interest in turning a simple purchase into a 10-minute conversation. None of those cultures is wrong or unkind. They simply draw the line between professionalism and personal warmth in different places. America often draws that line with a giant yellow highlighter. A visitor asks for directions and suddenly the cashier is circling streets on a receipt, warning about construction, recommending a diner, and explaining which parking garage will not charge the financial equivalent of a minor home renovation. The original question may require 12 words, yet the answer arrives like a neighborhood committee meeting with snacks. That extra effort matters because it removes something many travelers quietly fear: the embarrassment of not knowing how things work. Instead of making confusion feel like failure, American service culture often treats it as an invitation to step in. The United States Bureau of Labor Statistics counted roughly 3 million customer service representative jobs in the country in 2023, but the deeper story is not the number of people behind counters or phones. It is the cultural expectation that service should feel personal, responsive, and visible. Of course, not every encounter is perfect, and Americans themselves can tell enough customer service horror stories to fill an airport baggage carousel. Yet during a global event when cities are crowded and patience should theoretically be running on fumes, even routine kindness becomes memorable. That may explain why some visitors begin joking that they no longer want to leave. They came expecting spectacle, enormous stadiums, and perhaps a cheeseburger requiring structural engineering. What stayed with them was quieter: strangers remembering their names, workers taking their questions seriously, and ordinary people making room for them in the rhythm of daily life. America did not merely host them, it made them feel noticed. America makes room. Some countries welcome visitors with a passport stamp. America welcomes them by giving their elbows somewhere to go. That difference becomes impossible to ignore during the 2026 World Cup, when European fans move through American airports, stadium districts, highways, restaurants, and suburban shopping areas that seem designed by someone who considered enough space merely the opening offer. The surprise is not simply that everything looks larger, it is how quickly physical room begins to feel like emotional relief. Many European cities were shaped centuries before anyone imagined rental cars, rolling suitcases, mobility scooters, or 40,000 supporters trying to leave a stadium at the same time. Central London still carries the bones of medieval streets. Paris grew around dense boulevards, compact apartments, and cafes where neighboring tables are close enough to share political opinions without being formally introduced. In Rome, a charming alley can accommodate pedestrians, scooters, cafe chairs, and one deeply confident delivery van, although common sense suggests that only 2 of those should fit. That density gives Europe much of its beauty, energy, and intimacy. It also teaches people to fold themselves neatly into public life. America offers the opposite sensation. A standard interstate highway lane is typically about 12 feet, or 7 meters wide. Parking spaces are often built for full-size pickups and SUVs rather than cars that appear to have been tailored by an Italian suit maker. Major American stadiums commonly seat 60,000 people or more, while the surrounding concourses, entrances, restrooms, and concession areas are designed to move crowds on a scale that resembles a small city changing shifts. For a World Cup visitor, that generosity of space can become strangely addictive. There is room for luggage without apologizing to everyone nearby. There is room to sit without negotiating ownership of both armrests like diplomats at a tense summit. There is room to order food, rearrange a bag, check a phone, and still leave enough territory for another human being to exist comfortably. This is where size stops being a national joke and becomes a cultural statement. American scale often communicates that ordinary people are expected to arrive with children, coolers, wheelchairs, shopping bags, oversized drinks, and plans that may change halfway through the afternoon. The environment does not demand that life becomes smaller before it is allowed inside. That feeling carries more weight than it first appears. Space reduces friction, and reduced friction changes behavior. People linger longer, travel farther, buy tickets with less hesitation, and say yes to experiences that might otherwise feel exhausting. Bank of America estimated that the 2026 World Cup could generate roughly $20 billion in economic activity for the United States, partly because visitors will not remain inside stadiums. They will move through cities, restaurants, shops, highways, and entertainment districts built to absorb movement on an enormous scale. The charm is not that America makes everything gigantic merely for spectacle. The charm is that its size frequently serves a practical purpose. A wide entrance says you may enter without squeezing. A broad seat says you may settle in without shrinking. A spacious door says you can take your time instead of moving like a chess piece, waiting for the next square to become available. After several weeks, returning to a compact European street may feel beautifully familiar, yet the body remembers how easy it was to breathe, move, and carry an entire day without constantly making itself smaller. America gives visitors room, and many discover they rather like the size of the person they become inside it. Instantly, one of us. A European fan can arrive wearing the wrong jersey, mispronounce the name of a local street, and still be absorbed into an American crowd before the ice in their drink has even considered melting. That may be one of the most addictive parts of life in the United States. Belonging often begins before anyone has checked whether you have earned it. During the 2026 World Cup, visitors encounter watch parties, neighborhood cookouts, crowded sports bars, tailgates, and public celebrations where participation matters more than pedigree. You do not need the correct accent, a family connection, or 10 years of shared history. Sometimes you simply need to stand nearby looking interested, and an American will explain the rules, hand you a plate, and introduce you to 6 relatives whose names disappear immediately beneath the noise. European social life can be wonderfully loyal, but entry is often slower. In Copenhagen or Stockholm, friendships may develop carefully through work, school, or established circles. In parts of Britain, warmth is frequently hidden beneath teasing, understatement, and the sacred national duty of pretending not to be overly excited. In Paris, social confidence often depends on reading the room correctly before joining it. These customs create strong relationships, although newcomers may spend months standing politely at the edge before feeling fully included. America has far less patience for the edge. Its social culture was shaped by movement, migration, new towns, changing jobs, and communities repeatedly rebuilt by people who did not begin with shared roots. That history helped create a national habit of forming temporary families quickly. A tailgate can turn strangers into teammates for an afternoon, while a neighborhood block party may treat a visitor as though their invitation was delayed by a clerical error. The numbers suggest that this instinct reaches beyond sports. According to AmeriCorps and the U.S. Census Bureau, 28.3% of Americans formally volunteered through an organization between September 2022 and September 2023, while 54.3% helped neighbors informally. That second figure matters because it captures everyday connection without uniforms, membership cards, or committee meetings. It is someone carrying groceries, checking on an older neighbor, sharing tools, watching a child, or appearing with food when life has gone sideways. For visitors, this creates a powerful change in emotional temperature. They stop feeling like spectators studying America from behind glass and begin feeling included in its daily rhythm. Nobody asks them to surrender where they came from. Their difference becomes conversation material rather than an entrance fee they failed to pay. This openness is not perfect, and no country welcomes every newcomer equally in every situation. Yet the American willingness to begin with familiarity can feel almost radical to someone accustomed to waiting patiently for social permission. The welcome often arrives first, while trust and history are allowed to catch up later. That is why leaving becomes harder than expected. A visitor may miss European cafes, walkable streets, and trains that do not require a strategic planning committee. What they do not miss is standing outside the circle. America has a remarkable way of moving the circle outward, then acting as though you had been inside it all along. Start Over Anywhere, one of America's most unusual social habits, has nothing to do with smiling at strangers or inviting newcomers to a cookout. It is the quiet assumption that a person is allowed to become someone else. During the 2026 World Cup, European visitors may arrive expecting a country obsessed with success, status, and competition. What they often encounter underneath that reputation is something far more personal. Americans are remarkably comfortable with people starting again. Someone can change careers at 40, move across the country after a difficult year, return to school with younger classmates, launch a business from a garage, or introduce themselves without first presenting a complete explanation of everything that went wrong before. In many older European societies, identity can be tied closely to place, education, accent, and long-established social circles. A person raised in Liverpool may carry that identity for life. In France, academic pathways can shape professional opportunities from an early age, while in Germany, structured vocational training often places people on clearer occupational tracks. These systems offer stability and strong expertise, although they can also make a major reinvention feel like changing trains after the doors have already closed. America tends to leave the platform open. According to the US Census Bureau, roughly 25.6 million Americans changed residence in 2023. Some moved only a short distance, while others crossed state lines and rebuilt daily life hundreds of miles from everything familiar. That level of movement has helped create a culture where arriving without a long local history is hardly unusual. In cities such as Atlanta, Dallas, Phoenix, and Nashville, asking someone where they are originally from can produce an answer involving 3 states, 2 careers, and a decision made after one especially bad winter. The humor lies in how casually Americans discuss enormous life changes. A person may describe leaving a secure job, moving 1,400 miles, and opening a barbecue restaurant with the same tone someone in London might use to explain switching supermarkets. There is usually a pickup truck involved, although federal law does not appear to require one. What becomes addictive is the absence of permanent judgment. American culture often looks forward before it looks backward. People are curious about what you're building, where you're heading, and what you plan to try next. Your past still matters, but it does not always behave like a landlord demanding rent from every future version of yourself. That attitude can feel liberating to visitors from places where family history, school background, or regional identity remains visible for decades. In the United States, distance creates room for reinvention, while social openness gives the new version of a person somewhere to land. Nobody needs to pretend the process is easy, because starting over usually involves paperwork, uncertainty, and at least one piece of furniture that refuses to fit through the door. Still, the larger message remains powerful. Life is not considered finished simply because one chapter ended badly. That may be why some Europeans begin imagining more than an extended vacation. America offers them a strange and thrilling possibility: the chance to be judged less by the person they have already been, and more by the person they are still trying to become. Nobody gets left out. The most revealing part of an American stadium may not be the giant screen, the roaring crowd, or the hot dog that appears to require its own boarding pass. It may be the route nobody notices until someone truly needs it. The curb cut, the elevator, the wider doorway, the accessible restroom, and the seating area designed so a wheelchair user can watch the match without being placed somewhere that feels like architectural exile. For many European visitors arriving during the 2026 World Cup, this can reveal an America rarely shown in overseas headlines. The country is often portrayed as harshly individualistic, yet its public spaces carry evidence of a powerful civic idea. Independence sometimes depends on society removing the obstacle first. The Americans with Disabilities Act, signed into law in 1990, changed how the United States approached employment, transportation, public facilities, and commercial spaces. Its influence now appears in details that most people walk past without a second thought. Ramps meet sidewalks, buses use lifts or low floors, parking spaces leave room for mobility equipment, and public venues must think about access before opening their doors. According to the CDC, more than 1 in 4 American adults reported having some type of disability in 2022. Accessibility therefore serves a vast part of the population, rather than a small group standing somewhere outside ordinary life. Older European cities face a different physical reality. Historic centers in Rome, Lisbon, Edinburgh, and Prague were built around stone steps, narrow entrances, uneven streets, and protected buildings created long before modern accessibility standards. These places possess extraordinary character, although their charm can occasionally behave like a nightclub bouncer who has strong opinions about wheelchairs, strollers, and anyone carrying a large suitcase. European countries have introduced major accessibility protections, but the experience can still vary significantly between cities, transit systems, and historic districts. What feels distinctive in America is the expectation that participation should be planned rather than improvised. At a large event, accessible seating is not supposed to be a folding chair reluctantly discovered beside a storage closet. It belongs within the design. The same principle reaches beyond disability, helping older adults, injured travelers, parents pushing strollers, and anyone whose knees have begun filing formal complaints after several days of sightseeing. That is where the subject becomes deeply human. Accessibility changes the emotional terms of public life. It allows people to enter without announcing their limitations to a room full of strangers. It reduces the need to ask for special treatment, because the environment has already admitted that different bodies are still ordinary bodies. America has not solved every access problem, and many disabled Americans continue to encounter broken elevators, blocked ramps, inadequate transportation, and buildings that technically comply while missing the spirit entirely. Yet the national standard matters because it gives people language, legal rights, and the expectation that exclusion is a design failure rather than a personal inconvenience they must quietly endure. For visitors, that idea can linger long after the match ends. A country proves what it values through the people its everyday systems remember to include. When a grandmother can reach her seat, a veteran can enter through the same front door, and a child using a wheelchair can follow the crowd instead of searching for a back entrance. Dignity stops being a slogan and becomes part of the floor plan. Perhaps that is one reason America becomes difficult to leave. It offers a version of freedom that is wonderfully practical. The freedom to participate without first asking whether your body is welcome. They actually say it. One of the most dangerous American habits is surprisingly simple. People tell you when you're doing well. They do not always wait for a formal review, a retirement dinner, or the day your photograph appears beside a tasteful arrangement of flowers. A co-worker may praise a good idea while the meeting is still happening. A coach celebrates visible effort before the scoreboard agrees. A stranger compliments a jacket, a parent cheers at a school performance, and an entire restaurant may applaud because someone they have never met has just been handed a birthday dessert wearing one nervous candle. To many European visitors, that public warmth can initially feel exaggerated. British culture often wraps affection in teasing and understatement, so not bad may secretly mean something deserves a parade. In Germany and the Netherlands, feedback is frequently direct and useful, but praise may be delivered more carefully because people expect competence without turning every completed task into an awards ceremony. Scandinavian workplaces often value equality and restraint, which can make enthusiastic self-promotion feel as welcome as a marching band inside a library. America takes a louder approach, although the real difference lies beneath the volume. Encouragement is treated as fuel rather than a prize reserved for the finish line. Gallup's 2023 global workplace findings estimated that 31% of employees in the United States and Canada were engaged at work, compared with 13% across Europe. Many factors shape those numbers, from management quality to labor conditions, so compliments alone cannot explain the gap. Still, Gallup has repeatedly linked regular recognition with stronger engagement, lower turnover, and a greater sense that someone at work notices the person behind the job title. That final part matters because recognition does something money cannot fully imitate. It tells people their effort has entered another human being's field of vision. American culture is unusually comfortable making that acknowledgement visible. Teachers put stickers on assignments. Restaurants display employee photographs. Local news celebrates high school teams, retiring crossing guards, charity drives, and neighbors who repaired a playground. Even grocery stores occasionally turn routine competence into a framed portrait beside the customer service desk, where the employee of the month smiles beneath lighting previously approved for driver's license photographs. The humor is easy to see, but the emotional effect is real. People begin trying things before they are certain they will succeed because encouragement arrives during the attempt. A foreign visitor speaking imperfect English may receive patience rather than a grammar examination. Someone joining a community event may be thanked simply for showing up. Small contributions are noticed before they become impressive enough for history books. That habit can become deeply addictive. Once people grow accustomed to hearing that their effort matters, silence begins to feel heavier than it did before. Returning to a culture where praise is rare, private, or hidden inside sarcasm may feel like switching off the porch light while someone is still walking toward the house. Americans certainly criticize, compete, and argue with Olympic-level commitment, yet they also possess a remarkable instinct for becoming temporary cheerleaders in another person's day. The praise may last only 10 seconds, but sometimes 10 seconds is enough to rescue an afternoon. Perhaps that is why visitors become attached to life in the United States. America often gives people something they did not realize they were missing: permission to feel proud before the world has officially declared them exceptional. The real America is not found in the loudest headlines, but in moments when strangers make room, offer encouragement, and treat newcomers as though they already belong. That may be why so many visitors arrive for a tournament and leave carrying something far more personal: a country they did not expect to love. Which American habit would make you stay the longest? Share your answer below, and subscribe for more real stories about America through the eyes of the world.